Hey all, Ortheo here. Today we've got Game 2 of my set versus ErPeris as part of the 2019 RBY World Championships on Pokemon Perfect. So I'm down 0-1 in the series, and I also lost my first series. So if I lose this match, I'm out of the tournament, basically. So yeah, back against the wall, all that good stuff. Just get right into it. So, to start out with, we got Starmie versus Zam. One thing to note with this team is that I kind of built it around the idea of Mega Drain Executor being able to bypass Starmie and then every other common lead being pressured by physical attackers. So, in this case, they've got a Zam lead, so I'm looking to pressure with my Snorlax and my Rhydon. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm going to go for here. I'm just spamming Psychic, fishing for the special drop. I'm also kind of taking note of when they're likely to use Recover, that kind of thing. Because the goal here is to bring my slow physical attackers in safely. And that's eventually what I do by bringing in Snorlax. It's not really going to amount to anything because they go out to their Chansey. Unparalyzed Chansey Snorlax isn't the best against. Yeah, in any case, I'm going to set up Reflect to not even to set up really, just to scout for counter before switching out to Starmie. Switch out to Starmie even though Chansey's a hard counter to it because I don't really want to let paralysis be spread really far through my team. I want to kind of contain it to Starmie. Also, the fact that they're switching Chansey in on Snorlax, usually that's indicative of a Reflect set. I say usually because you can switch in like regular Bolt Beam Chansey on Snorlax if it's unparalyzed, and you're probably not going to die for it. Which is worth noting because that's actually something I do later on in this match. Anyway, I do go out to Starmie, and they're going to go right back to Alakazam. And, like, I'm not sure what ErPeris is playing for here. Like, they're basically just stalling me out, but I'm getting all these switch-ins to my physical attackers. In this case, Rhydon, because Chansey can't really switch into it because Rhydon's just a lot more threatening. And so I'm going to start chipping down their Executor. And I'm not sure what ErPeris gains from this kind of dynamic. Like, I guess they're eventually hoping to break through my Starmie, just via chance, but it doesn't seem worth it to me. Like, because as you can already see, I'm getting plenty of opportunities out of this, whereas they're not. It's also worth noting they're going for Psychic here rather than Seismic Toss, so that does... I say that and then they go for Seismic Toss. Usually I would say that indicates they're trying to force a special drop on my Starmie so they can go out to their own physical attacker. In any case, I get another Rhydon switch in. In comes their Executor. Now it's down to 31%, so I'm going to go out to Starmie. They go for Psychic. And yeah, eventually this does end with them blowing up their Executor, which is a good play because they weren't getting any more value out of their Executor, and this Starmie, it's just sapping any momentum they can possibly gain. So yeah, it's a good play. Lapras to follow up is also really good because obviously they can just go for the Sing and they can reasonably assume that nothing I'm going to send in outpaces Lapras or threatens it or whatever, because if you assume a big 4, then it's Chansey, Executor, Tauros, which in my unrevealed spots, which is what I'm running. So Lapras outspeeds all of them except Tauros, and Tauros, I'm not going to take on a full health Lapras with that at this stage of the game anyway. So Sing, I absorb it with Snorlax. Rhydon's a bit more threatening, especially because their Chansey is unparalyzed. And I can't really absorb it with anything else. Like, I could use Executor, I suppose. But that even then, that's risky. Like, you never know. They might even Blizzard as I switch in which case my Executor would be screwed. But on top of that, like, I want to at least theoretically have sleep available to me. Anyway, I'm going to go out to Chansey. There's no way I would have let Chansey absorb sleep because they've got a Lapras. Chansey's my hard counter to it. Go for the Thunder Wave just because with Snorlax and Rhydon, I want that paralysis support. Like I just mentioned, theoretically going for sleep, but like paralysis is more important. I want to paralyze what I can. Yeah, so going to go to Snorlax, burn a sleep turn. Again, I'm not concerned about their Snorlax because I've got an unparalyzed Chansey, so I can switch in, no worries. Even though I'm running Bolt Beam, like I mentioned earlier in the match. Yeah, so I'm going to switch in, paralyze it, and yeah, we're just going to stall for a bit. That's all that's happening. Nothing exciting. They do rest a little earlier than I was expecting, so I didn't really get an opportunity to kind of preempt it and punish it, but that they do rest, and obviously I'm going to take the opportunity to force them out with Executor. Double out to Rhydon, which is like it's a good play. It's a safe play as well. Like if they hadn't switched out, then I would have just gone to Chansey and nothing would have happened. That's the thing with like double switches and going for reads. It's usually not that you have a read on your opponent. It's better to go for like predicts and whatnot when you've kind of hedged your bets a little, where it's there's not that much risk and there's much higher reward. Basically, that was something took me a while to learn, but yeah, it is something I'm on top of now. Anyway, Rhydon gets meaningful chip damage versus Lapras. They make a good double by going out to their Snorlax, gives them a chance to wake up. Yeah, so I stay in with Executor because I don't want to give their Snorlax an opening, get the special drop, which means Rhydon switches in, they preempt this because at this point it's really obvious what I'm doing because I've been doing it like all match, just getting as many switches into my Rhydon in this case as possible. So it was a sensible double switch in, also kind of safe because Lapras isn't too concerned by Executor because it's got the bulk to tank a few Psychics and obviously stab Blizzard. Yeah, so then eventually gonna make a few double switches and get Rhydon in on their Chansey, which is obviously favourable for me. They stay in and fully paralyze, so that's interesting. That they are running Reflect, so not sure what they can only assume they were hoping to set up Reflect and just try and stall me out, but that's not a winning strategy unless you've got Ice Beam, which they don't. They're running Seismic Toss, and Rhydon doesn't fare too badly. Like, sure, Reflect is annoying, but like Chansey can't break Rhydon substitutes, so Rhydon actually has a pretty decent chance of just breaking through Chansey via hacks, because Chansey's going to spend so much, because even through Reflect, it still deals over 25% damage, so Chansey's going to spend a lot of time using Soft Boiled, plus Chansey can't break Rhydon substitutes. Anyway, that never eventuates, and they go out to Tauros. I go for the Rock Slide. I think I was predicting Lapras, but, this works as well. Yeah, switch Chansey in on Tauros, which is that's not a standard play, but obviously I had the read on the Blizzard, so it works out for me, and then I can threaten paralysis. What am I at? 69%. Nice. Yeah, so Hyper Beam, I think maybe a max roll might have KO'd, but it's not reasonable to go for it. Instead, I can just threaten paralysis. Yeah, and they're going to go out to their Zam. Obviously, I go for paralysis because I'm not taking that risk. Okay. Then I switch out to Rhydon and eat a crit Psychic. And right now, I'm wondering what the fuck I was thinking. I was... like... Man, I don't know why I went for that. I must have just got carried away, just got way too aggressive, but like that was never on the cards. Anyway, I make up for it by critting their Tauros, so that's something. Yeah, chancing in for the Lapras, nothing to report here. Get the paralysis, which is nice. Yeah, and at this point, obviously their chance is going to heal, so that's another opportunity for Rhydon. Earthquake, they stay in and trade, because at this point I can just revenge with Tauros, and that's perfectly safe. Yeah. So, Chansey is in a really strong position here, because they don't have an easy means of breaking through my Chansey. They need to, well, not without paralysis at least. Which is why, you see here, I go for the Executor switch in. And that buys me a little bit of time to blow up. Right. So, the reason I go for that there is... Let's see. I just blew up a full health Executor. What could I have got out of it? It wasn't doing much to Alakazam, because even though it can, tank it decently well, it's still going to lose in the long run. Would have been really useful versus their Snorlax, and is obviously dead weight versus Lapras. Yeah, I think I was hoping to blow up on that Alakazam, which would have been really good for me, because then my Chansey would have just won the game. That's probably why I went for the explosion there. However, it doesn't work out. They go to their Lapras. Obviously, I go for the revenge kill, and they go to their Snorlax. Yeah, so they're going to just set up Reflect. And at this point, I don't really have a strong option for dealing with this Snorlax other than staying in with Chansey or just hoping for hacks with Tauros. So I stay in, start going for the freeze. Important to note, they've only revealed 3 attacks on their Snorlax. And I'm going to take a gamble here and go for a second Ice Beam. However, that doesn't work out because they go for the Hyper Beam and KO my Chansey. So that sucks. That actually puts me in a really bad position because I don't have a really good way of breaking through their Snorlax anymore. My own Snorlax is asleep, and obviously with Reflect up, it's going to be tough. Yeah, so the reason I took that gamble is because I basically had to kind of start risking my Chansey in that way if I wanted to get anywhere. Otherwise, it would just spam Body Slam, I would spam Soft Spoiled, and I would run out of PP first. So I had to start gambling, but probably I could have held off and just scouted their set first, because I mean Hyper Beam on Reflectlax, it's not standard, but it's still relatively common. Like, it's something I should have at least been open to the possibility of, and that made absolutely perfect sense for ErPeris to go for it there, because yeah, I had to go for the gamble if I wanted to actually make progress. Anyway, I don't get anything out of my Snorlax. They're just going to KO it. Lost the speed tie, which would have been significant. But I make up for it by critting their Snorlax, and now it's in Hyper Beam range, even through Reflect. And I get the KO, and then the Alakazam comes in, it's at 84%, it dies to Hyper Beam, regardless of whether I crit it or not. Actually, I think it might be a damage roll, but it's still well in my favour. So, yeah, that is, I win the game, I stay alive, and it's also my first tournament win since I came back from my break. So, that's nice. Still plenty I could have improved on. I mean, overall, it actually went really well for me. Like, for most of the match, I was able to really execute my strategy like I drew it up. Plenty of aggression with my slow physical attackers, that kind of thing. And they were kind of playing a bit passively. They weren't really pushing for too much, and that really played into my favor. However, there were some key turns where I did kind of let them gain a bit of momentum, and basically let the game be a lot closer than it really should have been. So obviously there was the turn where I switched my Rhydon into the Alakazam Psychic. That was... Honestly, I don't have a good answer for that. That was just stupid. I don't know why I did it. Not scouting the Hyper Beam Snorlax. It's understandable, but a mistake nonetheless. Definitely. It can be frustrating scouting for these things. Counter is another one where you should scout for it, but it's so frustrating to go for Earthquake and just see, oh, I could have gone for Body Slam and done a lot more. So that's that. There was also some explosions that I probably could have absorbed. I don't think, like, when their Executor blew up on my Starmie, I don't really have too much of a problem with that. Even though my Starmie was putting in a lot of work, it's still like, I don't think there was a better option. I could have switched my Rhydon into their Executor, but that, Rhydon into Executor, that's a really risky play to make. Probably when my Executor blew up against their Lapras, that was maybe a bit more of a misplay. I suppose it must have just been a bit too predictable. Like, I don't know. Because I needed their Zam gone in order to really kind of empower my Chansey, even though I might have ended up making the same blunder I made against Snorlax anyway. I don't know. In the end, it worked out. So yeah, got the W, and that's what really counts. So thanks for watching. Let me know if you've got any feedback, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.